So now for our character, let's get into what we really wanted to come here for, which was setting up the animation blueprints. Let's go ahead and go animation blueprint, and our parent class will be anim instance, and it will be on our test skeleton. And let's name it animBP. There we go. So there are two parts of the animation blueprint. You have the event graph, which is basically the brains of the anim blueprint. And then you have the anim graph, which actually is depicting or piping through the flow of the animations. So let's just start by giving him an idle. So this is the final animation pose and it has no input. So let's just come over here and let's tell it to play an animation, and we'll just pick an idle. We'll pick that one. So now over here in the preview window, you can see that he's playing that animation. And so we can assign that to our character right now. Let's click the character, and as we mentioned before, this is where we're going to assign that animation blueprint. There it is, test animBP. And even in the viewport, you can see that he's playing that animation. So now, if I hit play, he's just playing the one animation, which is not nearly as interesting. But you can see that it's working. So instead of playing an idle, what we would like to play would be that blend pose we had where he goes from standing still to walking to running. So we can take that out and we'll hit play. And if we look for it, remember what we called it. And I don't remember what we called it. Where the hell was it? Character animation. Yeah, so we just called it new blend. Let's give that a name real quick, just so we can rename that. Movement iron sights BS for blend space. There. Now we should be able to find it a little bit easier. So let's go back to our anim blueprint. Blend space player, movement iron sights, blend space. So he's still idling because this takes a variable, forward speed. But we don't know what this is. For example, we can set it to 200. So now he's running in place. Now watch what happens when we play that. See, he's just jogging in place. That's not really what we want. So what we need to do is we need to cast this to a variable. Let's promote that to a variable, and let's call it movement speed AB for animation blueprint. Now, there's no magic to the name. I can call it whatever I want. I can leave it as the default name and have it be new variable underscore 0 for all it cares about. The reason I put the AB on it is because just in practice, I was getting confused with variables coming from the pawn versus variables in the animation blueprint. So I just put animation blueprint, the AB there, so when I'm looking at the event graph, it's easier for me to tell which are from what graph. And I'll show you what I mean here in a minute. So what we want is we want to set this variable by whatever his movement speed happens to be. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is get the character's movement speed so we can set that movement speed variable. Fortunately, because this is a pawn, there's a function for that. Now, what this function is going to do is it's going to say, okay, who owns this animation graph, and return that right here. Now, notice that this is a pawn. Now, we're using a character. Character inherits from pawn, but you could also have just used an actor, in which case you would need to use the get owning actor. Now, this too should also work because pawn inherits from actor, but we want to have the function classes that are available as part of the pawn. So we get let's see, is that the one I want? No. We want to get the pawn's velocity. We'll convert that to a length. And then we will set that variable there. Now you can preview that right here. It's a little animation preview editor. Changing these variables in this window won't affect what they're actually set at. This is just a preview. This is just the test. If I crank that up to 50, what? The defaults is 200. What? Why is it not working? Edit preview. Let's detach this real quick. See if it's being overridden. There we go. There we go. Kind of strange, but that was overriding the preview, which it really shouldn't do. So anyway, let's go ahead and test that. Now notice that we're now at our fourth tab in Persona: Skeleton, Mesh, Animation, Blueprint. So let's go ahead and test that. So now he's just idling. And as I push forward on the stick, you can see he's walking. And there we go. We got some basic movement going on in there.